Panthers, I mean, we kind of expected it. I think my biggest surprise in the game, Will, was that they had a hard time locating DJ Moore. You would have thought they would have recognized number 2.
Yeah, it was a prime setup for my favorite thing in the entire world, the revenge game, and DJ Moore got it, Adam. I think the thing with Carolina is at this point, you can't. But they probably have. I mean, they definitely have a bottom 5 defense. The Rams have been pretty bad. They were a little better yesterday, but I mean, Carolina's defense, just because of one, you have the trade this offseason where you deal with Brian Burns. Then Derek Brown gets hurt. Shaq Thompson's out. I think the number was 4 of 11. They have 4 of 11 players still on like the week 1 defensive depth chart who are starting, which is it's week 5. That's early to be down that many players on your defense, especially when it's like the key guys. And just like attrition and injuries, it's really hard to find a path where the Panthers are good defensively this year at really any point. And, when you combine that with an offense that, has looked a little more confident or did look a little more confident
until yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Bears have a really good defense, but it's like anytime the Panthers now go up against an opponent who has an above average defense and can do anything functional on offense, it's just been really hard for them to win the game because, you're basically asking Andy Dalton, with an okay, like special or group of, skill position guys to carry the team. And I mean, things got so bad. Bryce Young came back out. I mean, that was like, we knew in 2 steps. We just didn't think it would be that quickly. I don't know. It's not, I mean, like to me, I mean, the bigger, I wrote about this for CBS, but I didn't touch on the Panthers just because Caleb Williams is the bigger story. I thought he looked really, really good. Showed some great in-pocket movement. Used his athleticism when he needed to. The second touchdown to DJ Moore was an absolute dime, where he worked through his progressions. And good on the Panthers for helping to showcase one of the young stars in the NFL.
All right, so since you said showcased his athleticism, can I just say Lamar Jackson? And then we could just marvel at what he was able to do. Obviously, my favorite play was the one where he dropped the snap and then somehow picked it up, scrambled, stiff-armed a defensive lineman away from him who was about to sack him, and then threw the touchdown pass. He was at his very Lamar-ish best in the win over Cincinnati. Of course, it should have been a loss because Cincinnati botched a very makeable field goal that would have won it. But it wasn't a loss.
On Cincinnati, you lose an OT, you get the Lamar turnover to set things up. Joe Burrow at that point is 30 of 39 for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's having, borderline career game. He looks like the Joe Burrow, pre-wrist injury, the guy that, who's the number 1 overall pick, who has been an MVP candidate, top 5 quarterback in the league, and you run the ball 3 times with Chase Brown and set yourself up for a mid. And I get it, the kickers make these 50-yard field goals, but like Baltimore's not stopping you. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have combined for 19 catches, 276 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't know. Maybe let your stars win the game for you and get it's outrageous to be that conservative in that spot, especially when you're 1-3. You're at home playing, one of your biggest divisional rivals, who is, they're 2-2, and it's a massive game, and so I just it's hard to fathom how you could possibly be that conservative in that spot. Like Lamar was, and they paid the price. Derrick Henry immediately 51-yard carry down inside the red zone, chip shot for Justin Tucker, but Lamar was incredible. He, 26 of 42, 348, 4 touchdowns, no picks. That's a pretty good day at the office. Ran the ball when he had to, and like you said, that one play, you can count on one hand how many humans can pull that play off at any point in the last 10 years.
One finger. You can count on one finger. As much as I love Josh Allen can't do that. Patrick Mahomes can't do that. Lamar Jackson is the only player who can do that. Well,
Lamar versus Jaden Daniels next week is a fun one. I believe, and I'm not like saying this. This is what I read this. I wasn't told this or anything. I don't want to get in trouble, but NBC attempted to flex that game, which is great. Like the idea of flexing the Commanders into Sunday Night Football, is a crazy idea.
In week 6.
In week 6, right? And CBS said no and protected the game to keep it in the 1 o'clock window, I believe, for which I would presume is going to be the Nance Romo game.
Look, I was going to get to the Commandos in a bit, but what they are doing with an obviously flawed roster, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a great offensive line. They don't have a great defense. They have some good pieces on defense, but they are, whether it's inspiration from Dan Quinn or, brilliant play calling from Cliff Kingsbury. Look, early in the season, he's always been good. It's the last half of the season that has always gotten Kingsbury over his career. Maybe that's because the opposition gets tougher. Certainly in college, most schedules seem to be kind of backloaded. But the Daniels is spectacular. And there's enough pieces at the skill positions where, if they can somehow protect him, they're going to at least score a lot of points. That is a fascinating game coming up on Sunday. I believe Baltimore will win it. I think Baltimore is we talked to Bridget Condon of the NFL Network last week. I asked her, after Kansas City, who's the best team in the NFL? And she went, what do you mean after Kansas City? She said, I think it's Baltimore now, and they are 2-2. And, frankly, they should have beaten Kansas City in week 1, or could have. Yeah. I shouldn't say should have.
It should have been. They had a 10-point lead with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against the lowly Raiders with Derrick Henry on your in your backfield. Like they really could. They're not far away from being 5-0 at all. Baltimore's awesome. Lamar, there's a lot of season left, but I don't have the odds in front of me. I would think that Lamar is, he's definitely top. Jaden Daniels in the top 5 in terms of MVP odds. I would think Lamar is.
It's a little early to even think about it, but Lamar Jackson is going to be there all year long, barring injury. You mentioned the lack of good play calling, lack of aggression on the part of Cincinnati. It was really the opposite in Buffalo's loss to Houston. Yeah. So I texted you yesterday and said, why in the world didn't Sean McDermott take the 10-second runoff that comes with an intentional grounding penalty with 47 seconds left to play? And I've kind of figured it out, is that he wanted the time to think that they might be able to do something offensively. He says, you don't know where the punt is going to stop. You don't know where you're going to take possession. As it turned out, they took possession at the 3-yard line. What I didn't understand was, why didn't they run the football 3 times, since the forward pass had been non-existent for them in that game?
Here's a wild stat from that game, courtesy of ESPN Research. The Bills are the only team in the last 45 years to be tied or leading in the final minute of the game inside their own 5-yard line and throw 3 straight passes. With the runoff thing, it's tough because the Texans, they had 3 timeouts.
Right.
But you get what I think they got the ball after the punt. I believe they got the ball with 32, because there was 42 seconds left when the Texans punted.
The Bills got the ball back with 40 seconds left.
Well, they had 32, but they had 32. They had 32 seconds left. 32 seconds left, and they snapped the ball on first down. You get OPI against Keon Coleman on the deep throw to the left. If you do take the runoff, it means you're probably getting the ball with 20 seconds left,
right?
Which means you can run 3 plays, 3 runs, and get to overtime. Now, the new overtime rules are such that, you're going to get a chance. You're going to get the ball. You're going to get a chance to get the ball. And even if your offense hadn't been very good, you really had to get, you had 32 seconds to get like 55 yards to really have a look at it. And the downside is if you don't pick up any yards, you don't move the chains, you don't keep the clock running, you're going to give Houston a decent look, and they got a really good kicker. So yeah, I think you asked the question right afterwards. So it's not like, and Sean McDermott said he's second guessing himself. So
yes.
Yeah, you should take the runoff. You should get it inside 25 seconds, and you should give yourself sort of the variable opportunity to either run the clock out and get to overtime, or to, like, if you want to run the ball once, force Houston to take a timeout, maybe you get 4 or 5 yards, and then you can, like, take not a shot, but, like, attempt to pass and maybe try, like, it's a really fine line to walk, but being that aggressive from inside your own 5 in a tie game, when when you're sort of like tiptoeing the line of what you want to be, or how aggressive you want to be, is just, it's how you end up losing like that.
So the other thing that got me about it was that over the course of the game, they had not completed any passes really down the field. So I didn't understand it that way.
Josh Allen finished 9 of 30.
Yeah, from that standpoint, I didn't understand it. And the running game had been their most effective form of offense. So hand the ball to James Cook, or, gosh, how about a quarterback draw? Anything. Like, I'm a fan of, you want to run the clock out, pick up a first down. That's the way I look at it. But for where the Bills were, running the ball and forcing Houston, because of what was left on the clock, forcing Houston to use their 3 timeouts would have been better, because they called a timeout to set up the field goal. If they don't have that timeout, then they might not be able to kick that field goal. Anyway, Sean McDermott clearly didn't learn his lesson from screwing up the AFC Championship game however many years ago it was. Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Couple of very quick things before we say goodbye. Aaron Rodgers rinse cycle, you think?
Yeah, man, he did not. He did not look good.
Nope.
And when they get, I think Bill Barnwell of ESPN had a column up about it. It's, they run this offense. They run is just sort of the offense that that Aaron Rodgers wants to run, and it's just not particularly effective, especially when you get down early against a Vikings team that on defense is going to want to, be hyper aggressive with the blitz, and you find yourself in a position where you're sort of running these they ran these 3 verts late on the interception that Rodgers threw to end the game, and it's like I don't know that trading for Davante Adams is the answer. I do think Rodgers. I think we may be underrating a little bit the effect of the Achilles injuries, especially you look at Cousins. Like he's had some time to it's just been very hit or miss with Rodgers. He's been at times just like laser sharp and just making some great throws, and then other times you just sort of question, you sort of question some of the stuff he's done in terms of his on-field play, and it's like I don't know. Like, is Davante Adams going to solve everything? Garrett Wilson's been okay this year. Got over 100 yards finally, but he took him 22 targets. Right? Breece Hall hadn't been great. Having said all that, I believe that in Week 6, the Jets are hosting on Monday Night Football the Buffalo Bills with a chance to win the game and be in first place in the AFC East. So it feels like the Jets are not what we thought they could be, like adding Rodgers and just flourishing immediately. But at the same time, the season's not dead.
No, the season's not dead, but Aaron Rodgers isn't Aaron Rodgers anymore. He's going to have some good moments. There's no question about it. It might be Monday night against the Bills. He might have a great game, but he's going to be all over the place. That's just the way it's going to be. He's not going to be consistently great anymore. The Jets aren't great at blocking. At times, Alan Lazard dropped a couple of passes that he should never have dropped, including one down the right sideline late. Garrett Wilson's fine. I think Garrett Wilson can be great. Davante Adams might come in and be great. But Rodgers let his team down at least on 2 of the interceptions. The last one, I don't know what he's complaining about. That wasn't in any way, shape, or form pass interference, and the pass was terrible. Other than that, it was a great look, Aaron. It was just an absolutely brutal performance. Final thing, and we got about 40 seconds. Explain the 49ers blowing a double-digit fourth-quarter lead at home to the Arizona Cardinals. Go ahead.
I would love to explain it. It's almost impossible to explain. It felt like they were cruising. I think Brock Purdy's been really good this year, sort of flying under the radar in terms of his performance. But, not, it's not – it doesn't feel like the 49ers have – whether it's the injuries that have sort of, just kind of thrown them for a loop. I don't really have an explanation for it. I'm going to tell you how they did it. But, credit – Arizona's frisky, man. They hang around in almost every single game.
Second time they blew a double-digit lead in a division game to a bad team. Rams the first one, Cardinals the second one. And the sixth time under Kyle Shanahan, they had a double-digit fourth-quarter lead, including playoffs, and did not win. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan needs to do a little in-the-mirror searching, but that is unbelievable. That is the most of any head coach across the NFL. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, at Will Brinson. Where can we watch you on video later?
The Early Edge NFL kickoff show will be previewing Monday Night Football between the Saints and the Chiefs. Go to youtube.com/sportsline, I believe is our thing. We do a live stream leading up to the game with all best bets, player props, anytime touchdowns, all that stuff.
All right. I look forward to it. I'll check it out just in case I need to sweeten the pot a little bit. All right, Will.
Yeah, build a little parlay.
There you go. We'll talk to you Monday. Peace.
See you, man.